Welcome to the Rancocas Nature Center in West Hampton, New Jersey. We are on Rancocas Road and we sit in the eastern part of the Rancocas State Park that actually was preserved back in the early 70s. So our visitor center is here, in an old farmhouse from 1859. We also have multiple trails that lead out to the rest of the park and a number of gardens. So if you do come visit, there's a lot for you to take a look at here. One of the things which we try to encourage is to feed the birds. You pretty much during any season of the year, in any location, birds are going to be a common critter. They're going to be common wildlife that will flock. If you give them the right habitat and the right type of food, you'll really encourage them to come in. Then one of the real treats of having them come into your backyard is that you get to view them. And hopefully, if you follow some of our recommendations, you'll get a really nice diversity of birds in your yard. We get a really nice variety here at the center for the different feeders that we have. And I know in my backyard where I feed the birds, it's a more town location, but I still get a really nice variety of birds. So one of the things that we try to do is when you're looking to get habitat, when you're looking to create a space for birds to come and feed, you want to make sure that you are giving them some places to shelter. So feeders are best put in an area where there might be some low shrubs, where there are some trees, something to give them a little bit of cover. They will approach the feeders, take some seed, but then they always kind of want to go back into the sheltered area for them. So that's really important. The other thing that also encourages birds to come to your yard is to have a water source. Here in the backyard of the Rancocas Nature Center, we're pretty lucky. We have two. We do have a traditional bird bath, but we also have a little koi pond. And so when the koi pond's not frozen during the winter, the birds can also use that as a water source. We try to keep the ice from our little bird bath so that then the birds do have a source of fresh water when they come to feed. The other thing is that you do want to keep the area clean. It's important that we don't spread germs to the wildlife. So periodically cleaning the bird feeders is a really good idea. Bird feeders are just designed to be really easy to clean. You're going to want to just take them down from where they're hanging or from where they're sitting, and definitely give them a good cleaning easily seasonally. That's the same is going to be true of the area below the feeders. If you pick a seed that has a lot of sunflower in it, then you're going to find that the shells are going to get discarded on the ground, and it's best to just periodically sweep them up and clean up the area. Okay, so now that we've kind of given you some of the basics of what you need to do to your yard to encourage birds to come, we want to share with you some of the seed and feeders that we do sell here in the nature store at the center. If you would like to feed birds in your yard, there are a number of different seeds that we sell here at the center that would help you attract different birds to your yard. All of the seed that we sell contains no filler, no weed seed, and no cereal grains. So the price might be a little higher than what you might get at some other sources, but you're guaranteed that when you purchase a 40-pound bag, it is 40 pounds of seed. If you're looking to attract a wide variety of birds to your yard, we have some blends. We have Ultimate, Premium, and Choice, and the three are a little bit different from each other. The Ultimate blend is 60% sunflower and nut meats, but does not contain any corn. The Premium contains 40% sunflower and over 10% nuts, and then a variety of other seed. But that does have corn. So if you're looking to attract some of the birds that might want corn, then that's a good choice to make. The third is our Choice blend, and that is a really good value. It's a 40-pound bag, and it does contain corn in peanuts, but it's also a slightly lower percentage of sunflower in peanuts, and that's 30%. The birds that these types of blends will attract to your yard are pretty diverse. You'll definitely attract cardinals and grosbeaks, chickadees, nuthatches, woodpeckers, sparrows, finches, and doves. One of the seeds that I recommend highly during the winter and actually all year round is our black oil sunflower. One of the characteristics of black oil is that it has a really nice high fat content. So if you're looking to really nourish the birds and help them replenish their fat reserves during the cold winter months, when they tend to really deplete their fat reserves, especially on a cold winter night, that's a really good choice. Now, if you are especially a fan of the woodpeckers, you might want to try the nut and fruit woodpecker blend. That blend is actually over 80% sunflower and nuts, and has has fruits, a variety of fruits included. You might see sapsuckers. You'll probably definitely see the red belly, and you'll also definitely get to see the smaller downy and the larger hairy. So it brings in a lot of the birds that are traditional insect eaters during other times of the year, but offering them the woodpecker mix gives them nice nutrition during the cold winter months. Putting out feeders with individual types of seed will attract a variety of birds. So if you put out Niger, for instance, that's definitely going to be food that will attract the finches. So it'll attract goldfinches and the other types of finches to your yard. Niger is a very tiny seed, so that is going to require a specialized type of feeder. One of the feeders that we sell that's fairly inexpensive is this little sock. So it has tiny little woven holes that the finches are able to get their beak in and get the little seed out. We also sell peanut pieces. Peanut pieces are going to be good for a lot of ground feeders and also a lot of jays, ravens, crows, and towhees, cardinals, and juncos. If you would like to attract bobwhites and ducks, pheasants, wild turkeys, pigeons, blackbirds, towhees, dark-eyed juncos, and house sparrows to your yard, a really nice seed to offer is the cracked corn. Now, cracked corn doesn't have a high oil concentration percentage, so it's not going to have that high fat content, but it is rich in protein and fiber and is an excellent supplemental source to any backyard habitat. Safflower is another seed that we sell packaged individually. That's a nice high energy source for winter birds, and that is going to also attract birds similar to what the blends will attract. It does have a hard shell, so it is going to need the birds that have a bill that's going to be able to crack through that shell. And finally, we have sunflower kernels. Sunflower kernels are for those who really would prefer not to sweep up the sunflower shells. It does make it a little easier in the backyard, but it offers the wonderful high-fat content sunflower seed to birds that would not normally come to a feeder, simply because it's a little tough to access the seed when it's in a shell. Okay, we're here in the Rancocas Nature Center backyard. We have the habitat that the birds will like. We have a water source. We try to keep our feeders clean, and we try to also offer them a variety of seed. One of our favorite feeders is the squirrel buster. Now the squirrel buster, what's nice about it is that when birds land on the rim here, they will actually close off the ports so that any of the larger birds will not be able to access seed. And and then you can actually set this to a certain weight. So if you like having some of the larger birds, you can set it to a more medium weight, and then that will let them also be able to feed. These are called tube feeders. We have several here. The classic tube feeder This is the Plus. We also have a Classic, which is slightly smaller. The tube holds a little less seed. We have a Mini. We also have a Standard. So we have a variety, depending on what your price point is and how much you would like to spend on a feeder and how often you would like to refill it. That's probably going to determine which feeder you might pick. But they are all guaranteed for life. They all have the capability to close off, which really is a great, if a squirrel were to be able to jump on it, it's going to close it off and they're not going to be able to access the seed. They might knock a little bit on the ground, but that's all you're going to get. You know, so tube feeders are a really great way to go. They are perfect for the black oil sunflower, any of the blends that we sell, and also any of you could also put sunflower kernels in them. If you are interested in feeding just peanuts to, say, the jays and the other birds that are going to want to feed on peanuts, then I would suggest getting a peanut. This is a little bit different design. It has the same concept that when the birds land, it will close off if they're too heavy, but basically it allows them to access through these slightly larger openings in the screening so that they can access the peanut pieces that are a little bit larger than some of the other bird seeds. If you are interested in attracting the finches to your yard, finch, as I had explained, is a very tiny seed, so you're going to need a feeder that accommodates that tiny seed and doesn't allow it to just fall out. So the finch feeder, that's also a Squirrel Buster product, has tiny little openings. So we have the perches here, and next to each perch there is a tiny little seed, a tiny little hole that will allow the birds to access the seed. If they're a little too heavy, once again, this has that same concept of closing off with weight of a heavier bird. In addition to the feeders that we just showcased, we also have some other feeders. We have a very large Squirrel X. This actually holds about 3 quarts of seed. So if you prefer not to have to fill the seed every few days, this is a great choice. It's a little simpler. It still has that same capability to close off the ports when a larger bird lands on it. So that's also a nice tube feeder. The Mini is a very economical little feeder. It does have a smaller tube, so that's pretty much going to only hold about 1 quart, and but that is that's a good price point. The Classic is probably one of our best-selling feeders. It holds about 1.5 quarts of seed and has that very classic design. It has multiple ports and allows a wide variety of birds to feed from that feeder. So once again, that's a really good tube feeder. If you're interested in getting a more close-up look of the birds, this cute little feeder has the suction cups on the back, and you can affix it to any window where the birds are going to be able to fly in, and access the seed on the platform. This is more of a platform feeder, but then again, you're always going to want to have it somewhere near a window where after they feed, they're going to be able to go back and shelter in some shrubs. So it's always a nice idea to have some type of cover close to your feeders. All right, so this is kind of cute because you get a close-up look when you're inside of the birds feeding on the outside. During the cold winter months, it's nice to be able to offer suet cakes to your birds that are attracted to them. Pretty much you'll be able to get some really nice variety of woodpeckers and jays to your yard. This is perfect for them, very high nutritious. Suet cakes are made from suet that is rendered from sheep and cattle fat, and it is mixed with seed and formed into cakes. Sometimes might also be marketed in balls or other shapes, but we sell it as a cake. We also sell the suet cages that pop open real easy. They have a hanger on them, and you would place the suet inside the cake and hang it up. So that's a really nice addition to the other seed that you are offering the birds during the winter months when you want to offer them a nice nutritious food source. One of the other feeders that we sell is an upside down feeder. It discourages some of the bird species that are not able to access it from underneath. You can see that you would put the put the cake inside, the roof lifts off, drop the cake into it, hang it up, and now they can access it from below. We're hoping that this little video gives you some information about feeding and caring for birds in your backyard. You can purchase bird seed at the center on Tuesdays and Saturdays from 12 to 4. We feature a special bird seed sale weekend for our members where we offer a 20% discount. Once again, that's the first weekend of the month, Saturday and Sunday. And if you have any questions, you can email info@rancocasnaturecenter.org or visit our website, which has lots of interesting information, not only on birdseed, but on all the other programs that we offer and other facts of interest about the center. And you can access our website at rancocasnaturecenter.org. So thank you very much for joining us today, and have a really happy, wonderful winter watching the birds that get attracted to your backyard. Thank you.